And for the A&P vacancy position, for the commission position, is there a motion on the floor?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept Lisa Vandergraaf's application and appoint her to the commission.
Recommendation to the board.
Or submit the recommendation to the board.
I second.
All right, it's been motion and second. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, will you please have Tyrone read the,
Brewer,
yes.
Cockburn,
Yes.
Hollybush,
Yes.
Varner,
Yes.
Mills.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Board.
Yeah.
Not yet.
All right, moving on to the next item for A&P attorney at this time, there's no decision that has been made, and so we will continue to search. Moving to the next item, approval of the minutes.
Director Brewer, before you go forward, would you like us to put that back in the newspaper again?
Yes, please.
How long would you like for us to run it?
Let's continue to do it for another,
30 days?
yes, please.
Okay.
And Tarna, is there another place where we can advertise besides the newspaper that maybe nobody reads?
I can have Eric put it on the.
Carl's gonna be
Eric, I
mad
think
at
we
you.
put it on the Facebook page, didn't we?
What about
I know it's on the website.
Indeed or anything like that?
Do it.
Indeed.
There's,
Or the-
what about like
the law.
Texarkana Magazine or some of the local magazines?
We will get with the local magazines to see how much their advertisement is. If y'all
Just
give me a
bar
limit.
newsletter?
I was gonna say, if the commission wants, I mean, I can have the RFP emailed out to the Bar Association, to the Texarkana Bar Association.
I think that's going to be the
best way,
quickest, cheapest
yeah.
route.
So, Tarna, if you will email me that, I'll get it sent out.
Okay. And do you still want me to run in the paper for 30 days?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, let's do it, so that way we can parallel plan on that. If there's nothing else, we'll go to the next item. The next item is approval of the minutes.
I make a motion they be approved with the corrected minutes that were sent out. I think that's the one that's in the packet, right?
Yes.
I'll
All right.
second that.
It's been motion and second. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. Next item, we have funding application for logo signing program. Director Hollybush, will you please?
Yes, so what this, funding application would do is, this letter that you've got in your packet for reimbursement from the A&P Commission and the application for the RDOT logo signing program would be mailed out to all of our businesses in the area. There's an application for the state for that, for the DOT, and it explains exactly what the parameters are. There's application fees, installment fees, annual maintenance fees, and removal fees that they charge for that. So what I'm proposing is that we create a fund, or we at least approve that applicants can apply to the state and get reimbursement for signage that they are approved for. So for instance, if you're coming up from Shreveport on I-49, there is no signage until you get to Arkansas Boulevard. And the only people that have placed a sign is Big J's. Now, off of Arkansas Boulevard, Sonic, you've got Chicken Express, you've got the Ricky Hibachi, you've got Easy Mart, you've got several things that the city could benefit by letting people know that those businesses are there. Because right now, in talking to the people at the Welcome Center, they have people come there all the time and say, hey, where's a good place to eat? Where's cheap gas? And anybody that's heading north on I-49 is not turning around to come back to Texarkana to eat when they're already 3 miles past us. So we're losing business to Hope. And so I think that by providing this grant funding to individuals that will take advantage of it, then we're capturing a lot of business that's coming up I-49. And this wouldn't just apply to I-49. They have, per their regulations is anything within a 5-mile radius. So you could do any type of entertainment, venue, camping, lodging, and gas.
Give me an example of who would apply for this.
So if I'm coming up I-49, you've got La Fagata.
So any restaurant or
You've
hotel
got
would apply
any-
for to have their logo on a sign? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So it's an interstate signage that tells you where the gas, where the food is.
The blue ones, the blue signs.
Oh,
So the cost, the initial cost is less than $300, I think.
Yeah.
And that includes application fee, the installation, and then they would also have the cost of having the sign made. In this packet, there are several companies that make those logoed signs, and I think there's 2 that are in our area. You've got
One of them's Fast Signs.
Fast Signs, and then I think the next closest one is Seas Signs, which is in Hot Springs.
what if a business that's applying for this wants to use someone within the Texarkana, Arkansas area to do their logo? I know most businesses already have people that do their logo. How's that? Wouldn't we want to keep the money in Texarkana?
Well, the idea is to capture the traffic that's coming up the interstate.
Or are we limited to just those 2 people to do the signage? Because that's who the
Because
Arkansas
I
DOT
see in
has
this
the
area,
contract
those are the
with.
ones that are, I
Have to be
guess,
approved by RDOT, right?
yes. Yeah, RDOT has very specific
Okay.
regulations on
Makes
those, and those are the ones that offer that service.
Yeah, the only thing I looked at on here, and, I mean, they wouldn't be getting the money because they wouldn't qualify, but, for a restaurant, you have to be open at least 6 days a week, no later than 11 for continuous meal service, or it doesn't qualify.
No later than 11.
You can open no later than 11
Oh.
a.m., and you have to be open at least 6 days a week. Which, I mean, that
Pretty much
helps me.
everybody.
Well, I'm only open 4 days a week,
Oh, really?
from 5 to 10 p.m.
I did not know that.
So, and it says you have to have a public telephone on all of them.
I think
I
that-
hadn't seen a public telephone in, I don't know when. I'm sure that's
Well, I
just an
think-
oversight.
Well, I think public telephone means that they have a landline that the public can use upon request, that they're able to call, for emergencies or such as that. But I think, I'm not sure how many businesses will take advantage of this, so I'm not sure what the total cost to the commission would be. We could put a cap on that. I think, $5,000 a year probably covers everybody that's going to do this.
How'd you come up with this? Was this your idea?
It was.
For the concerns for 2B, is that that's something we need to see if there's any leniency on that, or
Now, I did talk to, before I gave this to Tyranda to put together, because I wanted to involve our new grant writer as well. I talked to Josh to get kind of a legal opinion on it.
yeah.
And he told me, he said, no, that's perfect. I said, that's probably the best use of A&P funds that we could do.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think it definitely.
But what I was asking is to make sure that we're not bypassing any of the smaller businesses that's not operating 6 days.
I think that some locally owned.
That's a RDOT.
Yeah, would
Yeah.
not qualify, but that's an RDOT thing, that's not a us thing.
Any
Yeah, that's
business
our
that
dog.
qualifies.
Like
all
the
they
gas
have
has to
do
be
is-
24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, if RDOT approves and they get the sign up, all we need is documentation that they
So they're gonna
applied
actually
and are
add new
approved.
signs. They're gonna add new signs.
Could,
Could possibly,
They
if
could.
there's an overwhelming business community. Oh, yeah, okay.
But it's only on interstate, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
It's only on the interstate, which would be 49 and 30.
Yes. So you could potentially have people that are off of I-30 that apply for this as well. I didn't drive that route and see who was listed and who was not. But I imagine, Chilonga's just moved over there by the convention center. Monjuni's has opened within the last year, and I'm not sure if they have signage up. But I think they would qualify.
they got some billboards.
Okay.
Yeah, they do have some billboards. People know they're there.
I mean, it sounds good to me. I like the
idea of kind of capital. I mean, I think if somebody had had this idea and come before us in October, I think it would have been, approved.
Yeah.
I don't know that,
It's going to take a while for people to apply and get it. We could still have it put on well, we wouldn't have to have an application. Couldn't we set aside that, Tyrone?
The way because I talked through this with Director Holly Bush, and my recommendation would be for the A&P Commission to allocate a certain amount every year.
Yeah.
And then everybody that wanted to receive reimbursement, they would submit their application, and the A&P Commission would simply approve or deny those applications at a quarterly meeting.
But
I was
it's
even
whether or
thinking
not
if we just allocate $5,000 to it, and then as long as they're RDOT approved, they're okay with
First come,
me.
first serve.
And then they just send that to you and done.
That works for me. I don't have a problem with
That way we don't
that.
have to come back and have a meeting and vote, okay, you can have a sign.
And it's a first come, first serve, and once the $5,000 is spent, so as long as y'all put that in that motion, that it just requires RDOT's approval, when they get the application and everything turned into me, I can do reimbursement for
And
it.
it can't be, it still has to qualify as far as, an A&P type place. I'm trying to think of one right now that may.
Well, it would have to be within the city limits, would it
Right.
not?
Right. I mean, so
It would have to,
Because that says
As long as
within
it's a
5 miles of the
hotel or a
sun, and
restaurant
that could
or
be
tourist
parts of I-49 or
attraction.
not.
Well, anything on that sign is going to be gas, lodging, camping, and hotel.
yeah,
and they
so
have to
like
put,
gas it's not an A&P thing unless they serve prepared food at the gas station.
most gas stations
Yeah.
have a hot box.
Yeah, they do the Speedos and
Right.
And so and one thing that they have to put as part of the application process, it says that they have to say how their sign will impact Texarkana, Arkansas.
And another, because this is basically free advertising for these businesses, so anybody that's not paying A&P tax, this might be another incentive to get them
Get on
to
board.
pay their tax, because they can see something tangible that they're getting in return for that.
Sounds like a good idea.
I do think they would need to be current.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I think that's a qualifier for any A&P funds, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, well, we've heard the conversation, and unless there any more discussion, is there a motion on the floor?
You want to make it?
So I would like to make a motion that we accept up to $5,000 a year grant funding for reimbursement for applicants that want to apply and get approved for the RDOT logo sign program.
You want to start in 2023 or 2024?
Start it next year, you're going to have to amend the budget for this year.
Good idea.
Which would be in January.
And they're going to have time to make the
Yes,
application.
it'll take some time. So yes, going into 2024.
All right, it's been motion.
A second?
It's been motion a second. Is there additional conversation? If there's no additional conversation, Tyron, would you please reconnect us?
Brewer,
Yes.
Cogburn,
Yes.
Holly Bush,
Yes,
Varner,
Yes.
Mills.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
thank you.
All right, next item we have is funding application for 2023 dollars and cents workshop. Ms. McDowell, would you like to?
She has to say, remember, she has to say live.
Okay.
I'm Anna McDowell with Main Street, Texarkana.
Ms. McDowell, before you get started, I know we're going to adjust that mic, but we're going to need to know why do we need to hear, your appeal to apply.
Outside the fundings.
Okay. Oh, it's working. Yes, this just came about a few months ago, the first of the year. I didn't know about it until recently, and with you all just meeting quarterly, I had to wait to make application to you all. Had talked to Rhonda as soon as I knew about it. There are only 2 cities in the state of Arkansas that get selected each year, and we're one of those 2. I'm telling you something wrong.
Is this your first time hearing about the A&P?
No.
No, but
What did I do
this-
wrong?
The thing you're applying for is new. You said it was new you found out about it since last October, like at the beginning.
Yes.
All right. I'd make a motion that we hear your proposal.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's called Dollars and Cents, presented by Preserve Arkansas.
We have to vote.
Yes.
All right.
Oh,
Just 1 second. It's been motioned and second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, now we can hear your proposal. Thank you for your patience.
sorry. I'm usually here, but in the fall when we do this, so it's a little different. I'm coming to you today, my name, I've told you, to ask for your help with Dollars and Cents workshop that we are trying to plan to present on Friday, September the 29th. It is planned to be held at Cross Ties Event Venue. This is a program that is done with Preserve Arkansas. As stated in the letter, they pick 2 communities each year. Last year it was Eureka Springs and Batesville. So I'm excited that we were asked to participate this year as one of only 2 cities. We would be working with Preserve Arkansas. They do grant writing to get national speakers in, and it is basically where they will present Dollars and Cents, why it is wise to invest in historic properties and preservation of historic properties for economic development. This particular meeting would be advertised throughout the state of Arkansas. Typically, the target area will be regionally. They would be here all day long. I have a copy of the agenda. It includes presentations, as I mentioned, by national and regional speakers about various things for preservation and why it's smart, budgeting, tax credits, which are really instrumental with preservation. A day-long event. I'm also working on a second event the next day at Cross Ties to encourage people to stay over the next day. But we would be doing lunch, tours of all of the downtown area. And so I'm asking you all to help Main Street, Texarkana. My board's already committed. We've already paid for the event venue. But I could see this as a great opportunity for promoting Texarkana. I'm asking for help with promotional items that would include pencils and pens and other things to help with the advertising.
What would be on those pencils and pens?
So I haven't ordered it, but of course you all's logo would be on there. I'm not spending the money till I have it. And having attended other conferences as you all have, I know people love to have things that mark the city that they've been in. The tote bags are wonderful for collecting materials while they're in Texarkana. They'll be going around and collecting things from our tourist stops, restaurants, wherever they go. So I just,
Where do you propose getting the coffee and the breakfast and the box lunches?
So
I haven't gotten that far, just in the budget.
I've gotten a few bids on that, and so I included those that I had gotten with you. And I've honestly, in light of the time, not everybody got back with me in the time that I needed to get this to you. So you see the people that I contacted so that you would see the budget I came up with. But it's typically a box lunch. And then something light in the morning, coffee, muffins, that kind of thing. Honestly, I was planning to contact Johnny B's because I want to include our downtown people as much as possible and local businesses, obviously, for the foods.
And this is a one-day event, I see, right?
Yes.
So with
2,800
with
total
this event,
for all.
so you listed, you're estimating 100 people are going to come to this. Are these people from Texarkana? Are these
They're from
all
outside.
out of town?
We want local people as well, because it is an informational type thing, but it is promoted throughout the state of Arkansas to bring people in. That's why it's really good for us. And you've got tourists, you've got developers, you've got business owners. It's really an opportunity for us to showcase Texarkana as opportunity for some of these people to open a business here and learn more about why it's good to invest in preservation.
So
Is it-
people that are, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking it was similar to the thing like Tyrone had, the Tourism Commission
Yes.
people that were here.
Very similar.
Very similar to that?
Yes,
Yes, we work together.
yes, Anna was instrumental in that.
So, back to my question about where you were getting the bids from, I mean, did you get any from, I would much prefer that you get the breakfast and the coffee and the box lunch from an Arkansas business.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying, Johnny B's, I'm just lost, but I'm sure you can hear me. The people that I contacted had not gotten back with me yet, that's where I got that, so, and I have used, the Susie, or whatever it is, it's over here on Robinson Road, they've
Carolyn.
done box lunches for me before. Finding somebody that is willing to do that is one thing, but honestly, I think Johnny B's, I've had them do a lot of luncheons for me.
Okay.
So,
Um,
and I'm just giving you estimates.
Sure.
Of course, asking for your support. Clearly, we will they take reservations. And so, I'm not going to expand more than I give you receipts for.
Sure.
For the number of people.
I would make a motion to amend the 2023 budget by $2,800 for Anna's proposal, with the caveat that any foods purchased it comes from an Arkansas restaurant that is current on remitting their A&P taxes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
And Tyrone can get you a list of those restaurants.
Yes.
That's perfect.
All right, it's been motion and second. Is there any discussion? Okay, no discussion. Please read them.
Brewer,
Yes.
Cogburn,
Yes.
Hollybush,
Yes.
Farner,
Yes.
Mills.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Anna.
I'll keep you all informed.
Please.
Is there a cost for this conference for participants, or is it?
Well, honestly, we're trying not to, or to be very nominal, and that's why we sponsor shows. We can help keep the costs down. I'm working with Rachel with Preserve Arkansas. She's actually out of Little Rock. She's the one that helps coordinate these. This group is so good. They're kind of our legislative people that go to propose they increase tax credits or just do supportive things for us as a community. So they're the only nonprofit preservation-based organization for the entire state. So they're very good to work with and supportive of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item we have is delinquent A&P taxes.
I about fell out.
Somebody paid, I know what you're going to say.
It's amazing what happens when you get your permits.
But they only paid this year.
No, it's
Oh.
all of it.
Oh, they did pay all of it? I thought they only paid January through May of
No,
2023.
they had to become completely current in order.
They're trying to get that new permit, weren't they?
Yes, so a portion of it was
one was it?
waived because of bankruptcy. I checked with Josh on that, but the bulk of it, they paid. And they had to pay all of it before we would release their permits.
I think we've had a few closures that, too.
Okay, which ones?
I believe that Home Slice has closed.
I was wondering, I couldn't get a hold of
They've sold their equipment.
Okay,
It went to the coffee shop in Ashdown.
okay, so we have it to Kettler.
That's where the equipment went to.
Okay,
Change their name to Oliver's Pizza too, or?
I don't know what they've changed anything because that is Tracy Jones and Shanda that own that at Ashdown.
Okay.
And they bought it's my understanding they bought the equipment and they're going to open up a pizza place.
Yeah.
they've already,
Ashdown.
they've already opened it.
Yeah,
Is it
it's Keller's Coffee, yeah.
And they do good pizza.
Tyron, what about some of these that are just have like 1 month. Have we contacted them to say, hey, do you realize you're behind for that 1 month?
Yeah, so we've been working with them, trying to get them to get caught up on those months that have been missed. I don't know what has happened with some of those. And sometimes it's like last year, it's just 1 month. And there are typical ones that are good payers, but it's like 1 month gets missed. I don't know if it gets lost in the mail. And those are usually the hardest ones to get them to get on top of it.
Me and my close too.
Really?
Again?
Again.
Okay. So I do have a question on the ones that are seriously delinquent.
Yeah, I was about to go to that.
A lot of those probably didn't even collect the tax.
No, they do. I've been to a lot of these restaurants, and there's printing out on their ticket.
Well, I've been to some where they haven't even collected the tax. So can we forgive
No.
any if they didn't even collect it?
We don't have the authority not to collect that tax.
I agree with her.
I don't think legally we can forgive any of it.
I followed up on that, and everything that I've come with is we can't waive them.
And it's a tax that was voted on by the citizens back
Yeah.
a long time ago, way before I moved to town.
Out of curiosity, who do you think doesn't know about it or it's not collected?
No, I think everybody knows about it as far as, they're notified. But I know Duran's Pizza, specifically, they have businesses in Longview and in Mexico, and so they have an accountant they pay.
I specifically had it,
But I know they're not collecting it.
but I specifically had 3 separate conversations with him before he opened, gave him my information, and he told me that he would have his accountant reach out to me. Now he's one I talked to myself on several occasions. He told me that he would have his accountant follow up with me. They never got in touch with me. And we also sent him several follow-up letters just to confirm that he received them. And I got 1 phone call back from him. It was not a nice one. And it was kind of like, if I was aware of this, I would have never started this business. And I said, no, sir, you were completely aware because you sat in my office and we had a conversation.
All right.
And those are kind of hard when they come in my office and they're starting a new business. So if you come see us before you start a new business, so Director Hollybush, if you're starting a new business, I like to sit down and talk to them. I explain to them in detail their total tax collections. The letter, I wish I had a copy of it, but it even goes to as far as to say, your total tax collections are 12.25%. 10.25 goes directly to the state, 2% comes directly to the city. And we give them the forms and everything so that they're completely aware of the breakdown and the total taxes they should charge. We work really hard to make sure that we don't have that situation where they haven't collected it. And it's some that throw that out there, but we work really hard to make sure they're aware of the full tax rate before they come. I never tell them 110.25. I always throw an A&P or mixed drinks or whatever additional taxes so they know that rate from the very beginning. That way we don't have this situation.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody is well aware.
He was well aware.
Well, I have a question. I think I've been on this commission like 2 years, and I was just really shocked to see some of the businesses on here that's delinquent like 1, 2, 3, and 4 years and greater than that. And I was asking for some type of, is there a course of action that's ever been put in place that we could remedy this to get these collected funds that we're not receiving? And I think our receipt will apply that it would have to be something from the state or what have you. And
So
how does this?
the city approved an ordinance that basically gave the A&P Commission permission to put liens on the property for delinquent taxes. So the city attorney has to he usually sends a letter to them to give them time to pay it. Some come in, some don't. Usually we get bulk payments, and we know that, yes, they've received the letter from the attorney. If they don't respond or pay within a certain amount of time, he'll issue a second letter and then put a lien on it. The lien keeps them from being able to sell the property.
But if
That's
they're a
associated.
tenant,
Then they typically just close.
and some history with that, at the time, we drafted an ordinance and sent it to the city attorney to present to the city council, and he took the teeth out of it, if you will,
This was.
under a different administration, under a different board.
Okay.
And you remember?
Yes.
They took the teeth out of it, where we actually had, so put a lien on it, I'll move down the street. We have one that moved off and moved back under a different name, and she's operating again.
And that ordinance was modeled after other cities in Arkansas that go through that process. The city board looks for it.
And I still think there's a misconception by some of these, or some people, that somehow the restaurant is who's paying that tax.
Right.
And it's not. You're not taxing that. It's the citizens.
Right.
And it's such a, I know it sounds like a bunch, but when you're talking about you're going to spend $100 on a dinner out, the difference between if you're going to pay $100 or $102.50 should not keep you from eating on one side or the other.
It's a glass of tea.
Right.
And so I don't know how that would be perceived as anti-business if, I've never understood that, but I have heard that argument. I've had that debate many times.
So it sounds like the ordinance need to be perhaps reviewed and maybe perhaps amended.
And the current city attorney knows all about that ordinance because
Yes,
he's
he
the one who
does.
drafted it for us.
I can't remember what we proposed, Tyronda.
I believe the part about it that was the biggest struggle was the part that allowed the A&P Commission to shut businesses down that were
Yes.
delinquent on A&P
Yeah.
taxes.
Or
And
to
that-
put a sign on the door.
Yes, and that was the biggest rub there, was that ability for the commission to be able to do that.
But kind of like just needing another permit when someone's fixing to happen to you, then you remit it. It's not even paying it. It's just, all they do is hold it and then send it. It's just like a state sales tax.
Yes.
They're just sending it to the city instead of the state.
Yeah, my concern would be for the ones that don't even collect it.
Well,
I
they should.
I know
be
they know
collected.
they're supposed to, but I think if you go
Well,
two,
I know
3,
some
4 years
build it
and
into
you
their
don't
prices.
collect it, you're
Right.
We
not.
don't do that, but some, when they're figuring out their food costs, what they're gonna charge for an item, what they're gonna charge for a beer, they add that cost into along with liquor tax and beer.
But they're not
fine.
paying that.
They're not paying it, the customer's paying it. They may not see it on there, but, it's.
A lot of your smaller vendors, your food trucks, those types of things, that's exactly what they do. So if a hamburger is $10, that $10 includes all of their taxes, A&P, everything.
Gotcha.
Because for them, and I've been told this, it's easier just to charge $10 and just back into what I have to pay compared to trying to
We do
figure out.
on beer and liquor.
Yes.
The tax is built
Built
in,
in, yes.
It's $3 for a beer and there's tax included in that. We back it out before we.
Yes, and I've been told that was an easier way to operate for a
We
small
still have
business.
$3 beer.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
But it would be nice, and that's just a little back down. We've actually had a chairman that sat in that chair, and he was delinquent on his taxes for 2 years
Wow.
and chaired the.
He ran a restaurant.
So this is my question.
And I can tell you, he's still delinquent.
He's still delinquent.
Would you like to add the A&P collection, A&P delinquent tax collection ordinance back to the agenda? Do you want to add it in October, or would you like to add it in January?
January.
Oh, January.
Definitely.
Okay, so I want to clarify on that. So we'll make sure we put that on the January agenda, and we'll get a copy of that.
Just put something.
ordinance.
It wouldn't have to be as strong as shutting their doors.
Right.
But it's something with a little more teeth in it
Okay.
than just we're going to put a lien on your property.
Well, there have been changes to the FOI laws regarding delinquent taxes,
Yes.
which affected the ordinance as well. And so those weren't in place before, but now you can openly discuss delinquencies and things like that on A&P taxes, and you couldn't do that before.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to couldn't even
Good.
say it out loud.
No, you could not mention the name of any
Wow.
business that was delinquent.
You can now, though. Sing like a canary.
So currently, you can put a lien on a property.
Yes, we put a lien on the property.
What it is Josh would send a letter and say, basically, hey, you're delinquent. And then if they didn't respond, he would draft up what was called a certificate of indebtedness. And he would bring those for the chair, me at the time, to sign. I would sign. I wouldn't even file them down at the clerk's
Correct.
office. And then if they contested it, there could be a hearing. Nobody ever contested it. There was never a hearing. We haven't had any hearings,
The people did pay.
but people did pay.
Yeah, we had that one, we got like a $40,000 check.
We did.
Are we still doing that?
We currently don't have a city attorney, so we don't have anyone to draft the letters.
But what's the timeline on that? Like, how long can I not pay my taxes before I start that process?
Typically about the 90-day mark, that's when they started to get them, because sometimes you'll notice that they might be on there for 1 month, and then they're paid. And so, or some timing issues. But typically when they hit like the 90-day mark, that's when that's when it starts to pile up. I'm usually not too concerned if I see 2 months, because typically the next month they pay it. But when you start hitting that 90-day mark, that's when it really starts to pile up.
Yeah, and I can't
But I'm
find
seeing
one
some
right
on
now,
here
but
for like
sometimes-
5 and 8 years.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they'll end up on this list if there's just one, and like.
There's probably
if
7 or 8 of them.
Time, that might be in the mail or something.
Right. There's 7 or 8 of them on here right now.
Yeah.
It's 1 month.
Those are not as concerning.
Right.
What I don't understand, Tyronda, is there's a motel on there,
Yeah, Ritz.
and you used to always make a notation on there, pays the state annually,
They have a new owner.
and they have a new owner.
Yes.
So how did that old business sell that property if there's a lien on it?
I don't know what happened with that property.
Because the new owner is the one that was delinquent.
Yes,
On that
and
other stuff.
he stumbled upon telling us that he was the new owner. So once he gave us that little tidbit of information, we went into, okay, can we get all the information so we can figure out when you took ownership and those? So we've been working on trying to get that information. We haven't received a response on it.
I mean, there's really no reason why some of these national chains should be delinquent like they are, like the Best Western Plus. Why have they not paid since like last year?
Let me see. Let me look at my response little.
Yeah, payment.
The guy you got your POS from, when they're sitting on that,
I didn't bring it.
and they put it,
Yep.
I can pull it on my phone.
Print it out.
Can you look at it on your phone? I don't think they're ones that responded to me.
Do y'all do the credit?
we're not charging for credit cards.
But you do that on food and drink, and just put it A&P consent.
That doesn't affect their ability to open a new
We started under that,
They should.
on the liquor tax. We got
On that particular one, they just said they'll take care of it.
on the code.
We reached out to them
We started back.
and just says the owner is aware of the past due taxes, said it will take care of it.
Figure out that.
Well, they're not taking care of it. I guess they started paying in June of 2023, but
Yes.
year there.
And they were the ones that was delinquent before, and they caught up with a lot of them. They made a big payment,
Double tax.
they got the majority of 2022 taken care of with that big payment. I think they paid like 6 months at one time.
Because sometimes they.
All right, well, in good faith, they're trying. Well,
Dead horse.
well, with that being said, is there any other unfinished business that need to come before the board?
I have one thing that I need to check on. October is our funding request. We typically schedule a workshop the week before that. Would you like to, and we had a little confusion on those dates last year, so I want to clarify and make sure we get it corrected this year. So with that meeting, the meeting is scheduled for the 18th of October. Would you all like to have the workshop on the 11th of October or sooner than that?
October. You said workshop on 11th and the
Meetings at 8.
meeting.
The meeting's on the 18th.
When are applications due, Tyrone?
We typically send out applications that first week of August and have them return them by the end of August so that you can have basically a month for a review process.
I personally would prefer to have it that August 4th, but, that's y'all, that's.
October the 4th?
Yeah, the sooner the better.
And that'd give people 2 weeks in case they had to go get stuff.
Okay, so the workshop on October 4th? And it's 4:30, a good time for that?
Yes, because I know I'm going out of town on the 12th through the 16th. But yeah, the 4th would be good.
And one thing that worked really well last year is that even if a commissioner is not in attendance, if they still send me their funding worksheet ahead of time. So I have it. I think Director Brewer, you did that last year
Yes.
where you sent me the funding worksheet.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Make a motion to adjourn.
if there's
I have-
nothing,
Oh, you-
if there's
I have one
nothing,
thing.
All right.
okay.
So in looking at the way that, I guess Texarkana is promoted, when I see sponsorships that are done by Texarkana, Texas, and, Texarkana, Arkansas through the A&P Commission, you see the city's logo, and then you see, our Side of Goodness, or, our A&P logo. I don't think that that represents the city well enough. Can we also have the city as part of our branding so that people know that the city of Texarkana, Arkansas is supportive? Because if I look at that, I think, oh, Texas supported it, this independent organization supported it, all these banks and other sponsors supported it, where's Arkansas? Is that something that we can include or change our branding so that the city gets credit? Or so that
Is the city paying for it? Is the A&P paying for it?
Well, the A&P is paying for it, but that is the city. It's a city commission.
Well, perhaps we don't have to make a decision on it today. We just, we can
Yeah, I
sit
just
here and
didn't
think
know,
of it.
because if I'm looking at it from a marketing
Yeah.
standpoint, it looks like the city of Texarkana, Arkansas isn't paying for anything. Or they're not sponsoring anything.
They're not.
Right.
They're not. We're two different entities.
Yeah, I understand that, but it looks bad when you've got the city of Texarkana, Texas that will sponsor, and then a lot of times what we do as a city is done through the A&P Commission.
Why don't we bring that up in the January meeting?
Yes,
I just want to throw it out there, just kind of see what your thought is.
yeah, let's make that discussion on the list for January.
Okay.
All right, if there's no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, thanks.
We need to move.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Meeting adjourned.